Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the C Squared podcast. We're on the road, both of us. Well, actually, Fabi, you're at home. I'm on the road. I just got here in St. Louis, ready for the American Cup. A lot of things have happened in the last week, but I think most importantly, we won a tournament, my friend.
Yep.
We've yes, a lot of enthusiasm coming from you, obviously. But yeah, that
Big
was
event. What can I say? Very, very big event. Yeah, we played the team chess battle, right? We won that. The final was supposed to be 4 games, but instead it was 2 because of just like scheduling.
yeah.
And so we played Danya Robert team, which is a good team, but I feel like we did play better than them, and it wasn't like we were never in enormous danger. So I think we kind of had a relatively smooth victory.
Well, I have to say the whole tournament was more or less smooth. We didn't lose a single game, and I would say what helped us a lot is that we put a lot of pressure from the beginning. Like I think we won every single white game, and we started with the white pieces every single match. So we put early pressure on pretty much all of our opponents, which was, I feel, quite important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we won every match had the same result, right?
Yes.
3 wins with white, 3 draws with black.
Yes.
So,
And we're lost in pretty much every. Well, the last
well,
one.
no, not the last one. Not the last one. We weren't lost. We were worse, but we weren't lost, and not even so much worse.
How
We were.
worried were you? Because I was pretty worried, especially
I was
after the
worried,
opening. I was pretty worried.
but objectively, we were never so badly off, and I wasn't like, let's say, there was never a moment when I thought we'll lose. While in the other matches, I thought we're gonna lose those games
Yeah, yeah. No,
because we were losing. So
we were badly
pretty
losing
clear.
against. Well, I want to say against Anish and Danny. I knew we were losing, but I couldn't see the exact way for them to just finish us off. And once they got down to their last 30 seconds, I was already quite optimistic. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
we're getting some chances. Both of our
Mhm.
kings are pretty unsafe, which is good. Your king is unsafe. You're not going to be able to calculate everything with 30 seconds, and it's going to be a coin toss. And ultimately, it was. The last one against. Well, actually, let's start it from the beginning. White pieces against Dania and Hess. They start with the Alekhine. Big surprise. And I proposed something to you, and you did not want to go for it. I wanted to go with this e4, knight f6, e5, knight e5, c4, knight b6, a4. Have you analyzed it?
Yeah. A5, rook a3. Yeah, I checked it. It's not very good.
How bad is it?
I was just curious. Like, okay, after rook a3, it's like e6 gives black some advantage, and d6 is equal.
Yeah.
I also don't know if, I mean, I guess in blitz it's as good as anything else. Like e6, you play rook g3, I think, and in blitz it's probably just as much a mess as any other position you'll get. So it's probably going to work out fine. But if you don't know it, it's just ridiculous. Also, you'll probably get a very bad position. If you've analyzed it, maybe it's playable, but I don't see the point because you're better if you play another line, like the line we played.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the best lines, and we were just a bit better, and there was nothing really to it. Like I know that Danya is pretty good friends with Bortnik, who's one of the highest rated online blitz players, and generally just like very good blitz player. I don't know what he is on like the chess.com rankings, but let's say he's like top 20 online blitz players, right? That would
Regularly,
be.
yes, regularly.
And Bortnik pretty much exclusively plays the same openings, which are that he plays the Jobava London with white, like exclusively, like tens of thousands of games. He plays the Alekhine, and yeah, that's basically his big two that he's really known for. So I can't say that I expected the Alekhine, but it's not like a shock. Like I think I said it when we were talking that okay, this is probably Bortnik's influence, and they probably looked at it together.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Way too big for it to play it.
I think it was
It
very
was.
smart from us to avoid the King's Indian because we wouldn't have been able to keep the reins within
Mhm.
the King's Indian. We definitely managed to do so. At least we kept position more or less stable in the Alkine, despite the general nature of the opening. But I think we did quite well. We were never in danger. At least we never felt like strategically we were in danger, or tactically.
Yeah, well, okay. At the start, we were definitely better, and it's not like they played it, I think, in the correct way. This knight a6, c6. Although they allowed bishop takes a6, which was definitely something we should have gone for. But besides that, they should have played knight c7 before d5.
I don't have a board in front of me. We'll put it in post-production.
Yeah, like they played d5, c5, and knight d7. We could have taken on a6 if I remember the move order correctly. Which definitely, like, black should play knight c7 first and avoid this damaging the pawn structure, no doubt. But okay, then we got a slight advantage, but not like the kind of advantage that's easy to really capitalize on.
Yeah.
Then it was equal, completely equal. And then they took on f5, and suddenly, yeah, we have a very serious advantage. And then, of course, it kind of yo-yoed a bit because we misplayed it, they misplayed it, and so on. But overall, we were only better and never worse in that game. So, kind of fair to say that we were never in like danger or anything.
No,
and I probably could have played it better.
And I felt the separation was also made towards the final stages of the game, as we were both entering those final 30 seconds. Like, those final 30 seconds were always so tricky. And I was happy as we were going through the motions that they actually had the weaker king. And that felt like it's going to give us a huge boost. Just from the simple practical value of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the weak king in time trouble is really big practical minus.
Yeah.
It's not so bad. Like knight d1, we made a mistake, okay, but objective mistake. But very often, it's more about the practical elements than the objective moves in blitz, because you have to play quickly. You keep time on the clock. Like, you're not going to calculate everything. So these mistakes, sometimes it's even just good to be conscious that you're going to make a mistake. And just make a move which, okay, it's not like a blunder or anything. Of course, you don't want to blunder, but you're not thinking too much like I'm losing my advantage or I need to calculate everything to a win, because you probably won't have the time to calculate everything to a win. So you might as well just make a move that looks decent and quick rather than laboring over your decisions.
Yeah.
Of course, there are times when moving quickly, you can make a mistake that you don't come back from. That can also happen.
Yeah, no. 91 was the move that I felt gave us a huge boost as well. And I said it during the interview after the match also. The engine was saying, yeah, this was a pretty bad move from an objective point of view, lost the advantage, but from a practical perspective. And I think it's all about practicality in these short time controls. But yeah, really good match. Second game, they were putting some pressure in this Frankenstein-Dracula variation. I guess they specifically wanted to play that against maybe both of us, because you and Robert discussed this, and I'm known as the Count. So I guess they wanted to to do something related to that.
Yeah, they probably Danya checked it a bit, and Robert maybe knew something about it as well. But I don't know anything else like about the reasoning why they went for it. It's a line where, yeah, like we said during the game, black can either go, black actually has a variety of options. Like, you don't have to play knight takes e4, of course.
Yeah.
But then white tries to get d3 f4, which is, okay, could be very dangerous if black doesn't know what they're doing. Knight e4 is like the, let's say, professional way. And then black has a choice to go for this like crazy, what's called Frankenstein-Dracula, which is that after queen f3 and knight d6, queen h5, knight d6, bishop b3 to play knight c6. And then this stuff happens with knight b5, g6, queen f3, f5, queen d5, and then black sacks the rook on a8, but gets a lot of the development advantage. And it's okay for black, objectively. Like, you sack the rook, and there are corresponds games. Black eventually plays b6, gets the knight back, has a really strong initiative based on the queen on d5 and so on. And corresponds games end in draws, or sometimes black wins. Although it's not like the biggest correspondence kind of territory. but I couldn't remember details, and that's why I said like, okay, it's very risky, of course, to go for this. Although, if you had said let's do it, I would have said okay, let's do it just for fun, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think we generally took the good practical decisions throughout the match in time trouble situations. I think overall it was a pretty smooth sailing. Um, we never lost, which was also extremely, extremely important. Obviously, going tie breaks, going to the Armageddon, that would be a coin toss. So yeah, good, good matches, good games. Do they matter to you at all? Like, what's your general, let's say, take on the whole event, Team Battle Chess? It was very well received by the public. How did you feel about the tournament? Is it an
It
interesting
was
concept to
fun.
you?
It was fun. Of course, I didn't care too much.
Right.
You know, this matters so much. I'm sure you also, well, it's not like a make or break thing, right?
Of course.
Of course, you still want to do well. Well, like once you're playing, whether it's a casual game or a serious game, and this was something in between, right? It's for money, it's televised. You don't want to look like a fool, but it's also not going to change anything really.
You also want
Um,
to get some content out of it.
yeah. Anyway, you want to win, right? You want to beat some of your rivals, perhaps, or some strong players. So it's something in between, and of course, you're going to still put your best effort when you're there. At least that's what I do. I think maybe other players like Wesley, maybe he didn't care too much. He was a bit, didn't seem like he had put all his effort into it. But once I'm in it, I'm probably going to put as much effort as I can.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like we didn't really prepare. We strategized, let's say, on occasion. I think for the first match, I don't even remember exactly what our strategy was. I think the main takeaway was that we never wanted to be down on time, or at least as we entered the last minute, we never wanted to be down on time. We were a couple of times, but I don't think we were close enough, I guess, and that was our main strategy, more or less. Openings wise, funny surprise by Anish in game 2 of our first match, to uncork a novelty out of nowhere in this format was a pretty big surprise.
It wasn't like a huge. I don't think he cared too much about it, but it was some sort of idea. Maybe it
Yeah,
was like a blitz or rapid idea.
yeah. Which
So,
match did you feel like we were in danger, if any of them, or better
Wesley,
yet?
Wesley and Ellis, they were like winning in the way in which we can't even really fight,
Yeah.
right? We're kind of once they win, like we don't even have moves left. We have two pieces, one knight, one pawn. I mean, we can't do much with these pieces, right? So once they find the winning plan, it's over, and we go to Armageddon. And then, of course, who knows what happens? It's a complete toss up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying. Um, yeah. Which team would you say had the best chemistry outside of us, obviously?
Okay, you could say Robert and Danya. They clearly cared a lot. They
Uh-huh.
put a lot of effort into it among well, I don't, it's not like they, it was life or death for them, but obviously Donnie was putting a lot of effort into it. This was very visible. And I think Robert, as well, although less visibly, right? Donnie was about as tense as you could get, which was also great to see, of course, for a viewer. And, so I think that like Eric Hansen and Jordan Van Forest had a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They did face a tough team, so it was a close match. Of course, these are very often some toss-ups, things go one way or another based on some very minute details.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they were a good team. I think Hikaru and Levy didn't really have chemistry, but of course Hikaru is super strong, and Levy's also a good player in time trouble. Like he's a good blitz player, but just having Hikaru is gonna like take you pretty far.
I felt Hikaru gave him a lot of responsibilities throughout the match. I felt maybe Hikaru could have been a bit more, strong in his beliefs, especially in those last few seconds. Occasionally, he just mentioned a couple of moves or it was like, okay, Levy, you make the decision. Sometimes it wasn't the best decision. But otherwise, yeah, it was an interesting team for sure. And I think, more or less, I see that result as it could have gone either way. That final game in the match between Danya and Robert versus Hikaru and Levi could have went either way. They were, in fact, winning with the white pieces. They were up on time, 3 minutes against 20 seconds, and it was more of a comeback win from Danya and Robert. So anything could have happened. They could have went into the finals, and then who knows what would have transpired after that. But overall, a fun event. I hope they're going to do it again. I feel they're probably going to do it again just for the simple fact that people enjoyed it. A lot of people tuned in. Their match, in fact, I believe at some point at their peak viewership, there were about 25,000 people watching. The finals, I think we reached 15,000, somewhere around that. So I think overall the numbers were pretty encouraging. Definitely interest from the people, which I was not necessarily surprised, but I guess you could say I was pleasantly surprised about that. Going into the competition, I felt like, okay, what is this? It's not hand and brain. Obviously, the stronger player is going to make 90% of the decisions, but it was a bit more balanced than I expected. And chemistry was quite an important factor. So, pleasantly surprised about the event. I had a lot of fun. It was fun competing. My last tournament was last summer.
They'll do it again. Like this, as far as I've heard, it's happening next year.
It's happening again, yeah? So they're going to do it on an yearly basis.